Welcome back. Whatever shape the new government takes, it has to deliver some quick results, and that's the view of policy think tank. The Centre for Development and Enterprise, the CDE, has identified 5 priority areas to arrest South Africa's slide into chaos. So the think tank says the state must start with reorganizing the cabinet and presidency and filling posts with the right people at senior levels. The CDE says one easy option is to trim the number of cabinet posts from 30 to 19. For more on this, we're now joined by Bernstein, Executive Director of the Centre for Development and Enterprise. And now she joins us via our video link. And thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. I mean, as we can see that, those discussions in terms of coalitions still ongoing as we await that announcement from ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa. You, as of course, this think tank have decided on key priorities that the new government must really prioritize. Take us through some of them.
Well, as the negotiations continue this week into next week, we're saying that it's very important that while they're talking about positions and policies and politics, they should also be talking about the plan of action for the next government. We need a government that's committed to the Constitution, the rule of law, and to peaceful political action, but also to deepening economic reforms. So we're saying this is an important part of the deal that we hope is going to emerge in the next few days. South Africa's in deep trouble. And so we've been thinking for the last 6 months on what can the next government do to get us out of trouble and on the road to prosperity. And we've come up with 5 broad areas for action, not words, but action. The first is we have to fix the state, which is a very big task, and we've identified 2 critical areas there. We have to open up markets so that while the weak state is being fixed, we can get a lot more activity going on through market reform, through private firms, and also large NGOs. The third thing we have to do is we've got to rebuild our approach to poverty, inequality, to mass inclusion. It's failed in the main. We have some 6 out of 10 people living in poverty. We have the world's highest unemployment rate. So we're going to come with practical proposals on that 3rd priority area. The 4th is the topic no one likes to talk about, which is our fiscal crisis, really, where we're spending way beyond our means, and we're absorbing some 1/5 of the money that we take in taxes every year to repay our debt. This is not good for growth. It's not good for individual households. Yeah. It's not good for the country. And our last area of priority is to strengthen the rule of law, which is hanging on by its fingernails. And there we've chosen to look at how to strengthen the quality and independence of the judiciary through reform of the Judicial Services Commission. And we also need to accept that the NPA has failed to deal with enormous criminal activity in both the public and private sector for a long time now. It needs to be reinvigorated, a totally independent institution, and we need to do a lot of work to get the prosecutions we need and to get some big crooks in jail.
And something that
Those are our 5.
Yeah, and something that you also touch on is something that has been going on for quite some time now, and especially the former ANC government had prioritized and promised to the nation that they would prioritize cutting and trimming down of the cabinet, and you are saying that the cabinet needs to be trimmed down from 30 to 19. And now that we find ourselves in coalition talks with other various political parties, and of course, if you are saying that it needs to be trimmed down, how possible is this when these political parties are negotiating amongst themselves to take up these positions?
Well, we're releasing the first action document in our series next week on exactly that, how to reorganize the presidency and the cabinet. We need to streamline decision-making. And the new president needs to resist the temptation to hand out lots of positions in a cabinet to deal with coalition partners or whatever happens. This makes decision-making very unwieldy, and it's one of the reasons why we've been taking such bad decisions in the last sort of 6 to 10 years. So we're saying there are important changes that need to be made, and we're putting a proposal on the table, I'm sure for heated debate, which shows how you could cut from 30 cabinet ministers today to some 19. And all the people we've been talking to, former civil servants, experts, academics, they're all saying the same thing, that the cabinet isn't working well, and we need to take some pretty drastic decisions on how to get a much more effective cabinet organized around the priorities of the next government to actually get results.
And now that we're still on the issues around coalitions, I mean, we are expecting, the ANC president to make some sort of formal announcement in terms of the decisions being taken by the ANC NEC. What type of coalition do you think South Africa is in need of right now?
Well, the organization I represent is a non-party political organization. But what I can say is that this is a historic moment, a fork in the road for the country. We're in deep trouble, but if there is real leadership, we could get people who are committed to a very different South Africa based on the Constitution, the rule of law, and deepening economic reform and social reform, if the leaders play in terms of the national interests and not party political interests. So we've been saying the president of the 6th administration should have been doing this for a long time. He told us he was scared to break, he didn't want to break his party, but we're saying South Africa has to turn the corner now. This could be a very important moment to put us on a better path to prosperity for everybody, but it could go badly. So I'm looking for a kind of governing arrangement where the 60% of the population who supported parties that believe in the Constitution and human rights and economic reform can find a way to work together in the interests of the country. If we don't do that, the vicious spiral of decline that the country is on, stagnant growth for the last 15 years, deep poverty, terrible unemployment, very high crime rates will continue. So everything is at stake here, and we're appealing to the politicians to think hard about the future of the country and an action plan that is based on everything we've tried to achieve in 1994 to get South Africa back on track.
And I hope that the new government, the 7th administration, is listening to you as a think tank. That's Anne Bernstein. Thank you so much for your time. She is the Executive Director of the Centre for Development and Enterprise. Of course, saying they have key priorities in terms of the new government and what they need to achieve in the next 180 days. To this now, Action SA has announced that